Have you ever wondered how it would be to jump into giant mech and use its firepower to kill the hordes of bloodlust zombies attacking your space base? And how about building the labyrinth of lethal defense towers to make it even more difficult for those undead creatures? Welcome to watching VideoGaming Father's video review of top-down shooter and tower defense hybrid, where mechs fight against space zombies, called MechDefender Tower Defense. Is there any catching science fiction story explaining how the space base got into such an unpleasant situation? Is the shooting and base building well balanced in this game? Can one find any useful upgrades for your mech and defense structures in the game? Won't it become repetitive too soon? Does the game have reasonable difficulty and user-friendly controls? Won't the game audiovisuals make your eyes and ears hurt? And isn't the game too brutal to be suitable for family playing? Let's spend the next few minutes together and find it out in my MechDefender Tower Defense video review. Okay, let's start with the story. There must be some interesting one explaining how the mankind achieved technological progress to be able to colonize other planets and reach the prosperity, but as it usually is, something got horribly wrong and prosperous space colonies were attacked by the bloodlust zombies, either by terrestrial or even extraterrestrial origin. And you need to defend last surviving space bases in order to prevent the total extinction of human population. Fine. I admit that it wouldn't be too original, but there would be at least space for some dramatic story development and twists. But I'm saying would be, as there is nothing like this when it comes to story. You are just informed that you are on the planet Mars and need to guard your course from being stolen. And that's it. Not even an attempt to make some meaningful story from outer space. This is a slight disappointment, so let's get back to the gameplay. In its core, MechDefender Tower Defense doesn't differ too much from the traditional tower defense game. There is one or more entrances for your enemies on the map, and there are 4 or more cores that you need to protect, which can be all situated in one place or can be scattered across the map. Once the enemy reaches the core, he is trying to get it back to the exit, and your goal is to save at least one core to successfully finish the mission. You have 2 means to protect the cores from the enemies. Mech that is directly controlled by yourself and that can freely move across the map, and automatic defense towers that you can build for the credits that are for some strange reason called ups here. Wow, how inventive. You are given some credits, or ups, to start that you can build some base defense structure for, and then you build another towers for credits. Sorry, I just can't get used to the term ups. That you get for eliminating enemies. So far it sounds like a classic tower defense scheme. It's true that the presence of mech that you can control like you were playing a shooter is refreshing, but is there something else that can distinguish MechDefender from many other tower defense games? The biggest difference I have found here is that the enemy's path is not predefined as we are used from the most tower defense games, but the enemies go after the cores by the shortest way possible. There are only walls, or whatever it is, standing in their way. And here comes your task: to build defense turrets to prolong enemies' route to the cores to the maximum. You can build them almost everywhere, not just on the predefined places. So you are actually building a little labyrinth of towers which should eliminate the hordes of zombies before they are able to take your cores and bring them back to the exit. This is quite an innovative idea, indeed, and gives you more space for strategic planning than if you just build towers on predefined places. Another not-so-traditional feature is that once enemy takes the core and is eliminated on his way back, the core remains at the exact place where the enemy was killed, so it doesn't flow back to its original location as it usually is in most of the game of this journey. This makes the game more difficult and sometimes forces you to regroup the remaining firepower to protect the cores that are dangerously close to the exit. And another substantial difference is your mech that you can navigate to the hottest places to use its firepower to send the space zombies to hell. Okay, so far so good. So let's have a look at what defense structures you can build. There are 4 categories of towers: AC towers, laser towers, missile towers, and artillery towers. AC towers category consists of the basic light AC tower, which causes just minimum damage but has a higher fire rate, and sniper tower, which is slow but causes a big damage and has higher range. There are 3 towers in the laser towers category: light laser tower and light hyper laser tower. They are almost identical. They don't cause a big damage but have a chance to slow down the enemy for a while, and hyper laser towers can also penetrate enemies' armor. Slow tower unsurprisingly slows down enemies with 100% chance. There is just one missile tower, the light one, that is quite slow, but its missiles have an area effect, so can cause damage to more enemy units at once and are also effective against air units. And then there are 2 artillery towers, the light one and flag tower, that also has area effects. There are also 2 types of threats in the game: slow threat and stun threat. They do exactly what their names say: slow down or stun the enemy for a while. All towers can be upgraded to the medium and heavy versions that usually improve its damage or some other statistics. Some towers have even 2 ways how they can be improved. For example, artillery tower can be upgraded to standard medium tower with higher damage and range, or bomb tower with even bigger damage but lower range and fire rate. Almost all towers are accessible from the beginning. You just need to buy the slots for quite a lot of upgrade points that you earn for accomplished missions. So it's up to you what kind of towers you choose first for your arsenal. And you are also getting skill points for accomplished missions that you can invest in various skills like increasing damage of your defense structures, increasing the chance of critical hit, or increasing duration of slowing down the enemies. And that's still not all! You can also upgrade your mech's weapon systems. It can be equipped with various weapons like AC guns, lasers, missiles, or flag cannons on different levels, affecting its damage and fire rate. Your mech can bear 3 weapons like this, and also 4 chips that can additionally increase the weapon damage, decrease enemies' armor, or increase the time of their slowdown. You can buy these upgrades for your mech for ups in the same way as the new tower. And you can also buy new mechs with better statistics for another special currency, but I was not even close to collecting enough of it to buy a new mech. After about 10 levels I had 12 of them, and the new mech cost 150, so I don't really know how long I would have to collect the money to be able to buy a new one. Otherwise, all of this sounds nice and seems to give the game the essential complexity so it can last for a long time. Unfortunately, there are several features that spoil the game experience. First thing is that you do not really see the effect of all these weapons. One would expect some blast, laser effects, zombies' reactions to hits and so on. But you will find nothing like this here. All weapons feel the same except that they are causing different damages to zombies and shoot with different fire rates. But there are not any effects that would really distinguish them, and from the top-down perspective chosen for the game, all towers almost look alike. And it is the same for the effects of your mech weapons. There are just 2 types of enemies. Yes, you haven't misheard, it's just 2. Really? I mean by the icons on the top that show the waves of enemies that come next, you face various types of enemies that differ by their speed, armor, or special abilities like flying or invisibility. But all of them are graphically presented either by big fat ugly green zombies or crawling torsos without legs. Okay, there is some heavily armored boss-like creature at the end of each mission, but it's simply not enough, and the presentation and variability of enemies is definitely one of the things that spoil the game experience. No matter that some of them are invisible, super fast or flying. And we can continue like this with the level architecture. Still the same rectangle room differs just by the positions of cores, walls and number of entrances. The whole graphical presentation is just a disappointment. Schematic graphics from top-down perspective with mainly dark colors and almost zero graphical effects would be sufficient for some free-to-play games, but not for the commercial product. I'm not talking about the music, that is not so bad, but changes just 2 tracks so it becomes repetitive very soon. Sounds of shooting are not bad either, but they are the only sounds you would hear. Zombies that do not produce any characteristic sounds are simply not the right zombies and could be replaced by any other generic types of enemies. The whole audiovisual presentation and level design seems like the development team didn't have enough money to hire professionals in these areas, so it had been done like a school project by some IT student instead. How about the game difficulty and controls? The game difficulty is not very well balanced, I would say. Some levels can be tough before you get enough credits to buy and upgrade sufficient number of turrets, while some are a piece of cake from the very beginning. The learning curve here is definitely not increasing, and once you have properly upgraded your mech and skills, the later level seems to be rather easier than more difficult. You don't even need to use firepower of your mech in some of them, as you are able to build such a labyrinth of towers from the start of the level that all enemies are eliminated before they reach out your core. After that, you can just upgrade them for collected ups and unclicking the rest of the enemy's waves. Doesn't sound too challenging or entertaining, does it? The controls are very simple. You just control most of the actions by mouse, including aiming and shooting of your mech, and only need directional keys to control the mech's movement. I have not noticed any significant problems here, except that mech can just get stuck sometimes at the walls that are not so easily recognizable because of simplistic graphical presentation. Okay, let's pronounce the final verdict. The idea of mixing top-down shooter with tower defense game is not bad indeed. But does it really work here? Let's start with the positive sides of the game. Attractive mix of two different genres, complex system of skills, not predefined places for defense towers allowing you to build the labyrinths of death, core remains at the places where enemy dropped it, which might force you to rebuild the defense line. And now let's get to the downsides. Absence of any story, just a little real effect of the upgrades, only two real types of zombies, very generic level design, unbalanced difficulty, terrible graphical presentation, generic music changing just two tracks, no sound effects of your enemies, and the stereotypes that comes rather sooner than later. MechDefender Tower Defense costs €4 on Steam, and I'm afraid that I cannot recommend the game even with the huge discount. I think that it's simply too amateurish to be sold for the money. It will still be okay as free-to-play game. The idea to combine shooter with tower defense was definitely good, and it could work if the team would hire professional graphic and level designers and better balance the difficulty and effect of upgrades. Like this, the game can attract your attention for a while, mainly because of the idea of building labyrinths of turrets, but still become boring quickly. I have to therefore give it thumbs down, and VideoGaming Father's index 4 out of 10. Not recommended. Thank you for watching this video review, and if you have liked it, please give it a thumb up and also subscribe to my VideoGaming Father's channel to stay informed about my new reviews. See you soon!